Today we are going to start chapter 5. We're going to be taking a look at these things called methods. And you did have quite a few code listings to take a look at. As you can see, I keep track of them, and as we go through, I'll flip over the book and we'll get into detail about some of them. But chapter 5 is something called methods. This is now the next level. Okay, what we've done so far was good and everything, but once we get to methods, then a lot more things start to happen. And this is big for CPS 230 when you start working with something called object oriented programming. Okay, so what is a method? Well, a method is a block of code. And what we do with that block of code, it says, hey, this is some interesting work that I need to go, it's like 7 or 8 lines of code, and I'm doing this big program, and I say, well, listen, I'm going to keep typing what I have. Cameron, why don't you go write the block of code to blah, blah, blah? And it's nice because we're going to create these blocks of code that are going to do a single thing, like calculate the distance. What's the distance? Blah, 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 blah. I don't need to see all the code behind it. You just tell me how it works. What about this one? If I said, hey, go write a block of code and we're going to call it power. What? Power. A block of code. Wait, what's that mean? Well, if I said, I want you to have a base of 4 raised to the power of 3. How would you do that? Well, that's 4 times 4 times 4. I just want the answer 64. I don't need to know how to do the work. But somehow or other, you might have to come in and your actual code might be for x equals 1. X is less than, let's see, less than or equal to power x plus plus. Okay, and then inside of here, you may have something like total equals total times power, something like that. And you're starting your total out at 4. So you're getting all this code inside of here that I don't need to see. Total equals base to start. And every time I come in here, total equals total times, actually, this isn't 3, this is power. Total equals total. So you got all this code going on, Cameron. You just go write it for me. No, don't seriously go write. But all of a sudden you're doing this, and then I say, okay. By the way, what if there's a base of 0? What's 0 to any power? Oh heck! Now I might have to start doing if base is not equal or is greater than 0, do this. Else, if base equals 0, do this. How would it work? So all of a sudden I'm start doing all kind of test data. Base of 0, power of 4. Base of 4, power of 0. Base of 0, power of 0. Oh, she's base of negative, power of negative. I could all of a sudden that math.pal that we know and can use, and PAL is a block of code. It's all of this code written somewhere for us. Somebody wrote it so that you can send in 2 numbers and it could be goofy numbers. Okay. So that's all done. That's it. Now this is nice. It is reusable. It's tucked away, but I can call math.pow at any time I want. It does a single concept. It creates this power. And it's something called modular, right? This is a block and it's a module sitting here. If we had another one, it would be a block and a module sitting here. So I could throw this word in here if I wanted. Modular. So this is what we're going to start doing. We're going to start taking a program and we're going to break it down into pieces. Okay. These pieces are methods. All right. So in this class, we're going to look at 2 types of these blocks of code. You've seen this already. You've seen math.pal. That is a value returning one. It returns a value. Does anybody remember what that data type is that it returns?
Is it an int?
Actually, a double. It's actually a double. So, yeah. Again, you got the power of the Google. You can go look it up anytime you want. But there are two types. A void method is just the blocks of statements. It goes and does something and done. A value returning is one that's going to do some work and return a single value. It's not values, it's a single value. Down the road, we'll learn how to work with multiple values. But for now, these are the two big types, the void and the value. And hopefully, as you type the code listings in, you're now taking your head and going, yeah, okay, I'm starting to get that. I know I have my notes already written. If you ever have, say, hold on 1 second, just give me a minute to copy, let me know. But I have these down. Some of you are writing them, some of you have the video that you can always look back to if you need to. All right, so in our programs up to this point, we've only worked with this guy right here, the main. We did all of our work in the main. We started with a left brace and we ended the main with a right brace. We had all of our stuff inside of there. Well, the main is now going to become the cop, the traffic cop, the boss. The main is going to have things like loops in because we may want to run something several times. Might have decision statements. Decision statements are if thens, if then else's. And it's going to be where we put our method calls. And that's why we call it the boss. It's going to say, hey, go do this method, go do this method, go do that method. And it's going to break it up. And, the more we learn about this, this is great for group work, which down the road, you're going to need to start working more and more in groups. And when you do, you want to break programs up into smaller pieces. Where do we put these methods? Well, for our sake, right now they're going to go after the main. We get to chapter 6 after the next test, they're going to go somewhere else. But for now, we're going to put them right after the main. Okay. First one. Pew, pew. There it is. Pew, pew. Pew, pew. Avoid method. Nice and simple. This is the method heading. Public, static, and here's a key. Public's going to be the same. Static's going to be the same. You'll learn what all of these are in CPS 230. These are all, for now, it's going to be public static. Now, this is my return type, this third word. And when I say void, nothing gets returned. Nothing at all. Okay? So this is my return type. Next is the name of the method. And display is a good answer because I might want to display a whole bunch of stuff. Some more valuable down the road. We're keeping it simple for now. No semicolon at the end of this line. Just like an if statement. We can't end it right away. No semi. And then inside of here, as you saw in the code listings, we're going to have a blank set of parentheses, or we may have items inside of here. These things are going to be called parameters. And I'll use this terminology over and over and over, so you should be pretty good with that. Ba, 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 ba. You typed in code listings 5.1, shoot be doo be doo, and here we go. Here's the main. We kind of don't want this stuff in, but we call display message. Right now, there are no arguments. Display message. So I go line 9, hello in the main. Line 10 jumps all the way down to line 18. Goes until the end of the body of this method called display message. Then it jumps back up to line 18. So 10 to 18, excuse me, back up to line 11. 8.2, another example. Shooby-dooby-doo. As I said earlier, up here in the main, So this is the main. This is the main. Now we start listing all of our methods that we're going to use. Inside of the main, I jump down and do it, come back up. Wait a minute, I do this 5 times. Questions? So far, so good? Slower, faster?
Doing good.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. Now, a moment ago, I talked about these items that are going to be found inside of the parentheses. Okay. Now, when we are up in our main, we are going to do, we're going to call a method, but we're going to pass in an argument. And whenever I pass these pass by value. So for this guy, I'm going to say display 5. What flies through the air? 5, and it lands right there. Boom. Num. It lands down here, num. I call it again. This time I send the num from up here. Num equals 11. 11 flies through the air and comes down here and goes to this spot. Now, this num that's created in the main is at a different memory location than this num. Because as you can see, I'm recreating a new num that's going to be called a local variable. When I'm done here after this line, that's the scope of this, it's gone. Okay, pretty good, right? 11 flies through the air. Here, x equals 12. The value 17 flies through the air. So we come in here, we create, oh, this is a local variable. Check this out, Funk Soul Brothers. This is another local variable, which means when I hit this right brace, Y is gone. This version of num's gone. They all disappear. Their scope is just in the method. Now, these things I'm sending through the air, they have a name. They're called arguments. The argument 5 flies through the air and lands in the parameter list. The argument goes to a parameter. It's down here in the method heading. Questions? Questions? Let's see if you had some examples. You did. Here's 5-4. This is another example of calls where it calls this method, which comes down into this method, right? I like to separate my methods. I usually put a big line across there. Inside of this method, it calls this method. So as you can see over here, we go line 9 to line 10, which is calling deep, which sends me all the way down to 21, which sends me to 22, which calls deeper, which sends me down here to 30, 31, 32. After line 33, I go back up to 23. After line 23, I go all the way back up to 11. Two. We can do that. Section 5.2 is what we just talked about, passing an argument. And a simple example is right. Are you still there? My screen went out. Sorry about that. Right here. I just passed a whole bunch of different arguments. This passes 5. This passes 10. This passes 40. Documentation's nice here. this passes, so I can do calculations inside of these parentheses and send it all the way down so that the argument goes to the parameter list and is stored in that local variable. Do, 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 do. Let's talk about arguments and parameters. For what we're doing, you have to have the same number of arguments and parameters. Each argument, like 6, like 4.2, like hi mom, means there better be 3 of them, 3 parameters in my method heading. The 6 goes to, this is an int, goes to an int. This is a double, goes to the double. This is hi mom, str. So I have to have the same number, 3 and 3. Order is important. I have to have the same data type. Int goes to int, double goes to double, right? And again, the order, it has to be int double string. The more we do this, it'll just become second nature. You'll be like, yeah, I can dig it. I know what's going on. I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good. Okay, some notes about the local variables. I put it all in the notes to make it a little more condensed. But when it comes to local variables declared in a method heading or in the body, we saw that a moment ago. The scope is only in the method. We mentioned that. They're gone when the memory freed up, it's gone, forgotten all about it. Can have the same name as a variable declared in the main. Can have the same name. Shooby dooby doo. Let's take that. Well, let's back up before we go any farther. Let's take a look at code listing 5.7. Code listing 5.7 is important because if you remember, all of my other data types, int, double, all of those were called primitive data types. Does anybody remember what a string was called? A string was a then I'll just say it. A reference. Remember, the string has an address. So we're going to check this out because it's not always kosher. Shakespeare. I print Shakespeare. Okay. I print Shakespeare. I now call method go to name, and then I come back again. So this guy's going to print Shakespeare. I call my method. It comes down here. str now gets the value of Dickens. And when I print this, it should be Dickens. But when I go back up, it returns to Shakespeare. So it was Shakespeare. Even though I changed it to Dickens here, it kept it. It remembered what it started as. Now, in other languages, like when you go to C++, you change it to Dickens. When you go back up to the main, guess what this is going to be? Dickens. So the thing to remember for Java is strings will actually change. Even though what's coming in here is the address and it makes it temporary, when we go back up, it's still going to be the original string. Not a really big deal, but when you take 161, it does become a deal. So in this case, the address is what we were working with. Do do do. 5.8. Again, we were talking about local variables. Down here, the local variable is birds. We come in here, this is one bird. This is a totally different bird because when I left this method, this bird disappears. Flew south for the summer, for the winter. They fly south in the winter, right? Again, we call this a local variable. Just like if I had something in this parameter list, it would be a local variable. Okay, we good? Okay, type number two, where are we at here? We have two types, a void, and we just did all kinds of stuff with void. Now we want to be able to return a value. So we're going to take a look at value returning methods. Okay? This time, I'm going to call a method sum. I have the argument 4. I have the argument 6. 4 flies through the air. 6 flies through the air. Okay? When I'm done, when we come back, I have a value. That value is going to be stored in total. You notice the difference this time. Public static int. This is my return type. That was void before, which means nothing was coming back. This is int. So value's coming back. 4 is stored in the local variable num1. 6 is stored in the local variable num2. I create a local variable called total. Total gets the value of num1 plus num2. And now I return an integer all the way back into this total. I mean, I could have called this something else, S total, like for sum total. Keep them different. So so S total is a local, S total is a local, S total is a, I return it and it lands inside of total. So this is the whole package right now. A return type, parameter list, the return value, the arguments. Now you notice when I have something with a return type, I have to do something because this value is flying back and I have to do something with it. In this case, I'm assigning it to total. Okay, but there's a value coming back. I could have done this system dot out dot println sum 4 comma 6. Again, I'm doing something with it because the value of 10 is coming back. It's being stored in total. The value of 10 is coming back and it's being printed. So I have to make sure I double quote do something with it. Does that make sense?
It does.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Boom, 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 boom. And you had an example in here, value returning, code listing 5.9. And I don't know why I have stuff all scratched out in here, but here it is. Int sum bringing in values. Boom, just like I had written up. I wasn't very creative there, was I? Questions? Questions? Okay, that's a lot of me talking. Um, and that's four. That's or excuse me, chapter 5. Now we need to play with it. Okay. So we're gonna write a program. Uh-oh. I'm gonna get you in groups because you gotta practice this. And this program is gonna be something as simple as tell me about the circle. And we're gonna use the main to now break everything down into smaller pieces. And here's what I think I need for my program. I'm going to need the user to input the radius. Okay. How are we going to get that? Well, I'm going to create a method called get radius. No information needs to go in there, but this is going to be value returning. It's going to return the radius for me. So this is a value returning method. I want to find the area. In order to calculate the area, I need to pass the radius in. In order to get the volume, I need to calculate the volume by passing the radius in. So these three are all value returning methods, the second type. They will all have return statements. This one is a void method. I'm just sending a bunch of information in and then letting it display. So you notice how this is being my main. I'm just going and telling everybody what to do. Okay, so let's check this out. We got this bad boy. Loading up my skeleton. This is my skeleton as of right now. I have a bunch of work already done for my program. I have, that stuff up top we type each time. I left this in here. Oh, yeah, that's for my random number generator. I can always say, I don't need it, delete it. And you notice after my main, like this is the start of the main, and I got this up here. Down here, I just have some notes for myself. This was how we generated that random number last program. Need a random number generator? Copy, paste it in the program. Am I going to need to say, please enter a number and show blah, 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 blah? Yeah, I got those stored away down there too in case I need them. Otherwise, they do nothing. But look how far I am in my program already. And I may just have to go and change the name skeleton to circle and then do a save as circle. And I'm a little farther ahead than most people. I use instra and outstra almost every time. So I'm going to get ready and say, I don't know that I need any more variables. So I'm going to come in and do my main first. And, I like to make it stick out. I may even do something like this. Here's the main. What did I say is going on in the main? Well, oh, See, I'm going back up here. I know I needed some more variables. I needed doubles. I need rad for radius. I'm not going to use radius because there are some reserved words that kind of scare me. I needed to find the area and I needed to find the volume. Okay, my variables are nice and clear. Hopefully, when you're looking at this program, you're going, nice. I like the way this is written. I like it. The main, let's see. Rod got the value of, I want a method called get radius. And I'm going to turn you all loose to do this in a little bit. Get radius, and I had nothing coming in. So should my program still compile without any errors? Well, no, because I need my first method called get radius. Public, static. Oops. Am I returning something here?
Double.
A double. Excellent. Now I have the name, get radius. I have nothing coming in. Oops. I have nothing coming in. I have a beginning brace. I have an end brace. Now I'm thinking maybe it should compile, right? I don't have any work done in here yet. I'm going to do that in a minute. I'm going to go down and I'm going to grab, please enter a value for the radius. I'm going to convert it and then I'm going to have a return. And then when I'm done that, I'm going to leave a couple of blank lines and I'm going to have my next one. Public, static. What was my next one up here? I gave it to you. Area equals get area. And I believe I was sending in the radius. So for my next method, I'm going to go maybe like this and give it a name later. But I believe I'm returning a double again. This one's called get area. And I'm bringing in, so my parameter list is going to have a value coming in. So I know where my main is. My main is just telling me what to do. Go do that method. Go do that method, etc., etc. The complete main that you're going to use. What's our next one? Volume equals get volume. Again, I'm passing in the radius. It's going to calculate it and bring it back. And then display equals, I'm just sending, or no equals, because this is a void method. I'm sending in the rad, the area, and the volume. Now I just need to write my methods. Questions on my skeleton, because I had a lot of stuff done already. Here's my methods. I'm going to do something maybe like this. Um, so I can see where each method starts. There's a method, there's a method. I'll come over and come out to here. Here's my next method. So you see, I'm breaking this up, making it more readable by doing this. Questions? Then do I need random number for this program? Nope. Gone. Do I need import Java X dot? Yep. If I was making my own skeleton, what more might I add here? Look back through some of your previous programs. Is there stuff you might want to add to your skeleton? I think we have a lot of time to play. Again, here's the main. You might want to grab your camera or screenshot it somehow. And I'm going to put you in groups. Are there any questions? All right, class today.